Does that
Okay.
sound okay for you?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And I can talk to you later about specifically what times he has available.
Right, because Mondays don't work. That's our day that we're trying to cram into all his medical therapies in one day.
Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Should I send you a webmail about that? I don't want to take up our time.
Sure, that'd be okay.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any other questions about his communication, or does anybody else on the team have any other questions for me?
So the articulation part, you and I will probably look at that more closely. Can you see any other
Yeah.
holes in the goal besides that?
Not oh well, social skills. It doesn't look like any social skills are being addressed within speech therapy that I could see. Do you know about that? I don't see
Um,
that either.
yeah, I think that's
Um,
maybe what they were trying to do with their switch up of how they were going to do things in the fall, but they went down to so basic. I
mhm.
um, yeah, I don't know how to make a good mesh between the two of adding some social skills with the summer goals that were going on.
Right.
Any ideas that you have?
Oh, I could certainly add some social goals in after I meet with him a couple
Yeah,
times.
yeah, okay.
I'm seeing that a lot. The kids that are coming from the brick and mortar schools don't have any social goals, and they should be having social goals. So, um, Josh, my question for you is, if I add some goals, would I be able to add some minutes if that's a possibility?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. Social
Okay.
skills can be a related service for a student that has autism.
Right.
And
Okay.
even with the articulation piece, I think there is a little bit of discussion in the evaluation regarding voice and vocabulary in
Mhm.
the evaluation from 2015 March. So we might even, you might be able to take a look at that as well to include goals in it.
Right. And the question about adding more minutes is when I start seeing students who have articulation goals and language goals and social goals, it's hard to get all of that in one session. And so is it reasonable or feasible for everybody on the team if I ask for two 30-minute sessions?
It sounds okay for me.
I would think so. Okay. Yeah, if everybody is in agreement with that, that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Sound good? The more the better in my mind. Okay?
Speech is important, yes.
Great. And then Sue and I had talked yesterday. He also has a goal for reading fluency, and they looks like he was working at a first grade level, it looks like, and they wanted him to get to 90% accuracy on 4 to 5 trials, and that's certainly something we can continue to work on with him.
And I think
Okay?
the trick with reading is finding a methodology that works for Jordan because he did make fast progress summer of 2013 when I was using it was a curriculum that someone else had come up with. It was progressive phonics. So Jordan does work well from phonics. The basic 5 key components of reading, those really haven't been addressed well for Jordan in the past. Like phonics were like left by the wayside is how he got so far behind in reading. And then he didn't get ESY last summer, so this summer 2015 there was some plan, but or some 2016 summer 2015 he didn't, so he regressed greatly in all areas. And just finding a good phonics program that works for him. He does learn by phonics. Some kids with autism don't, and we learn better by sight words. But Jordan does know phonics, and it's it's a better way to learn. The research is there. It's what the government pushes is to use phonics because it's a part of reading.
Well, there's a pause in the conversation. This is Kelly. If there's no other questions about speech, I'm going to hop off the call. Does anybody have any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. I'll be in contact, okay? Thank you.
So Sheila, are you looking for another goal besides fluency?
Fluency is probably a good place to aim for, because to get to fluency involves phonics. Like when it gets task analysis, how do we achieve a fluency? I think that would involve phonics. Am I looking at that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. And then for math, we had talked about 2 goals. He has one for addition and subtraction, and moving from 1-digit numbers to 2-digit plus 1-digit numbers with 80% accuracy. And the second one we were looking at was money, and I can't remember. Were we talking about identifying coins, or actually like solving some problems, making change, that kind of thing?
Solving some problems of adding money together. Then I suppose the next step would be trying to subtract, which is making change, and I suppose you got to do both at the same time. Money is a little tricky for me in my mind to fathom how to teach it.
So can Jordan identify coins right
Yes.
now? Okay, so then we want to move on more towards...
And in general, he knows which each one is worth, too. He almost always knows what they're worth. So he knows what they are and what they're worth.
We need to work on maybe adding and subtracting money.
I think so, yes.
Okay. Very good. And then you also talked about our written language goal, and it looks like simple sentences as what they were working on?
That sounds like a good start, yes.
Okay. And then the next part would be OT. Abby, do you want to talk about OT?
Sure. Thanks, Carol. Hi, Sheila. This is Abby. I'll be Jordan's OT this year. I spent a pretty extensive amount of time going through all of the reports because they repeated themselves, or there were some amendments and it was continued. But through as a valve, there seemed to be several things listed in regards to concerns that OT would address, specifically with fine motor strength as well as the sensory processing and emotional regulation. But then what confused me is that when you got then into the IEP, only consult services are recommended. So I didn't know if that was due to maybe, I heard you say that he was getting maybe outpatient services. So I didn't know if that might play into that, why he was only getting consult within the academic environment. I didn't know if you could give me a little history on that.
Well, in Iowa, they kind of follow a formula rather than truly individualizing it to deciding what a child needs. They just kind of phased OT out. And then their next step was they were looking at phasing out even the OT consultation. So Iowa just very quickly phases OT out for a child as they get older, regardless of what the needs are. So that's kind of what they were doing, even though Jordan was in high need of OT.
You know, and that, I think that sometimes happens when students get into high school, if we're still looking at, you know, fine motor, and we look at going towards the adaptive equipment or using a keyboard as much as we can, or using any kind of communication device if it comes to handwriting. But with the sensory piece, it just sounds like you would benefit still from just various strategies. And I mean, there was an extensive list, so I was surprised to see how that, you know, transitioned over. But I'm glad to hear just, you know, that history, because I didn't know if that was something by your choice or school's choice. But it would be my recommendation that we would still meet on a direct basis, and it would be weekly for 30 minutes, if that would be okay with you.
Yes.
And continue to build on his, right? I think that he's still in a pretty, he's at a great age still where we can still build on his fine motor strength, still build on his fine motor endurance to carry over into school skills, as well as implementing those sensory have the intention to want to engage in those things. Um, so, that would be my recommendation. This is purely based off cost report and not in that the evaluation that was completed was very nicely done. I thought there was a lot of detail on that, so I could kind of go off of that. Just cost report that I would definitely recommend the direct service where we would look at 30 minutes weekly. And I know that Carol just mentioned, to work on the physical sentences. So we could incorporate that. I know you guys are saving lots of money too. So we can kind of incorporate those into routine sessions, just in different ways, um, in regards to a fine motor. Does that sound okay with you?
Oh, yes. Maybe even what about social skills? How does that incorporate with OT?
Well, social skills, I mean, I guess I go through social stories. I've definitely done different, what I call simulated life skills that we go into like a grocery store and we go through step by step what we're supposed to be doing, just as much as we can in the virtual environment. So I think
Okay.
there are some limitations with that, but there are some really cool resources that I like to use that we can work on some of those social situations. And I read in one of his reports that there was noted that he does get overwhelmed in certain social situations and busy environments, and that might be due to his auditory and visual sensitivity that he gets so overwhelmed. So we can also implement some of those strategies to help him with some of those social, environments within the community. So, but it's definitely very creative when you're in the virtual environment. I did outpatient for several years, so when you come back into the virtual environment, you really have to maybe assign you a few things. We do something in the virtual environment and then give you like quote unquote an assignment to do out in the community, so that he can come back and report to me as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think I'll kind of generate a goal here, but I would like to kind of start it in the sense that after we participate in some sort of self-regulation activity, we would then engage into a fine motor task or social situation for a certain amount of time without feeling that distress. So that's where I would like to take OT goal, and then we would incorporate the handwriting piece through using OT tools that I will send you. We'll be sending you an OT toolkit where you'll get a slew of different fine motor tools and all different types of adaptive writing utensils